Yeah, we just keep getting reminders on this show. I'm the one who does the scheduling, so I don't understand it. But no one talks like a Vermonter anymore, so I'm very disappointed. But anyway,
we have to get older, Mike.
How are you doing today? We should probably try to be nice.
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. How are you guys?
Where are you calling from, Tim?
I'm in Portland, Oregon right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Vermont West.
Yeah, pretty much. It's literally like Vermont, but bigger and less swearing, a lot less cursing.
More bridges.
Yeah.
Just as many Subarus.
Yep. That's actually very true. Subarus and Tacomas.
Yeah.
You said you're from Oregon. You're in Oregon now?
Yep.
Okay.
And you have a book. Let's get this whole book thing out of the way.
Okay, let's do it.
Here's a couple. See, I got them here.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. EL's only got 10 minutes. So, Tim, you better tell us what the artwork is behind you really quickly and then show your book cover.
I'll show the books. You talk about the artwork.
Boba Fett, Cell from Dragon Ball Z. My nephew got me this custom made by some cool painter. And then this is Avatar from the Denver Comic Con a couple years ago. It's like a whole Avatar painting.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, you want to tell people what the books are?
Sure. Tales of Battle, and then Tales of Battle Book 2. And I just got the copies last week. I have not read them, but we have somebody here who knows about them, who can tell us about them.
And you were on someone else's show earlier this week, right?
I was on the other Tim's show 2 weeks ago or a week. Now I can't even remember, honestly. Tim
McKay's?
Yep.
What the hell's up with that? Because his name is Tim, you went on his show first?
He asked me first. Or maybe I asked him. I actually don't know.
I'm offended now. Man.
He's also basically a Vermonter. I mean, he's in Ottawa or whatever. It's close enough.
Canada. It's Canada. Yeah. English-speaking Canada. It's all good.
Yep.
So I feel we probably should broach this subject now for anybody listening. Tim, where are you from?
I am from Grand Isle, Vermont.
Right. So which is just like as the crow flies 5-10 miles from where I'm from?
Yeah. I mean, right across the water, actually. You can see St. Albans from the coast of the beach, but you have to drive all the way around to get there. So like 25-minute drive. But if you took a boat, real fast.
You're right there. Or, walk across.
Yeah. Or if you're Michael Phelps, I guess you could get there pretty quick too.
Yeah. I mean, 6 months of the year, you could just walk. So
that's true.
We'll get there. So, and you're going back to God's country soon?
In like 5 hours from now?
Going to get some proper syrup and bring it back?
Oh yeah. Well, that's actually the one thing I always request of my family anytime they visit me anywhere, or if they're going to send me anything, like the big, because in Vermont you can get the 15 gallons or whatever for like $45. Out here it's like $45 for the pint.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you can also get dark amber. You can't get that anywhere else.
That's true too. And you can syrup test. You can get the testers, which is also great.
Right. Yeah, exactly. See, Mike's just kind of laughing to himself, like, dude, I tell you, we take our syrup seriously, man. We're not fucking around.
We have Maple Fest. Actually, Maple Festival's coming up right when I'm coming home.
It just happened in St. Albans in April.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think they do it at the fair in maybe the beginning of July, or maybe it's beginning of June. I can't remember.
June they do the Dairy Fest out in Enosburg in June.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We are way off topic, man, but it's not often that Vermonters run into each other in the wild.
So at the risk of you all, thinking less of me, I did buy several things of maple syrup for my waffles, and I decided I just like the Aunt Jemima stuff better. So
I hope that's a joke. Otherwise, that's like total betrayal. And I have to question your taste buds.
Wow, bro, just well, hey, there's EL to save the day. We should talk about books. So tell us about your books that you have.
All right, so Tales of Battle. It's got humans, elves, animal humanoids, Caesar, which is the jaguar on the front, is the emperor. He was originally supposed to be my villain. And the fox is Jacama, who's supposed to take him down. Partway through the novel, the whole thing got messed up. They both end up becoming main characters. There's some religious fanatics that come in a war. They have to go to the mysterious island to find help from the long lost giants. And then in book 2, the ram on the front, he's a rebel. His name's Tromsky, and he's trying to take down Caesar and the Empire. He just hates them. And then the lion is from the emperors before Caesar, which is the Leos, who he actually betrayed to become the emperor. And they have to seek their help for an ancient darkness that comes. They're kind of like makeshift vampires. They're like a really ancient breed of darkness that comes. Book 2, you get to explore the magic more. There's Magical Awakening, which is funny because I have Avatar behind me and I had not watched it. And then one of my beta readers for book 2 was like, oh, it's kind of like got an Avatar feel. And I was like, I've never seen Avatar before. So after I got told that, I had to binge watch.
The blue alien Avatar or the kid with the arrow on his head Avatar?
Aang, yeah, the bald cartoon Avatar.
Okay.
So I had to watch that to understand, which is kind of cool that they just kind of coincide. But you get to explore magic more. And then book 2 builds up to the larger war in book 3 that's coming soon.
And how many books is going to be in the series?
There's right now I've got 6 done. 1 is a prequel. So the main part of the series is 5 books. That'll be wrapped up. And then I'll publish the prequel. Now I'm gonna do like a fun side novella because a lot of people like my characters, the set of characters that come in. It's a traveling Chihuahua and her pit bull, like bodyguard. That's really goofy. It's based off of my dog and my ex's dog.
Nice.
So what is it with you guys writing about your dogs?
I mean, I just thought my dog would be a funny character, and just seeing a Chihuahua and a pit bull hang out together and like have their weird, the Chihuahua would like bite on my pit bull's mouth, and my pit bull would just like walk off with her, clung to her, and not care. And I was like, man, how funny would you guys be as characters in this book that I'm writing? So I didn't really think they'd turn out to be any important characters, but a lot of people think they're fun, and they adventure all around my world. So I think it's a cool way to get different views of different parts of the world.
So Tim, because I must do this. My novella that's coming out next month, The 5 Dogs I Had.
Man. Absolutely shameless.
Those are my characters.
Whoa.
So they're all aliens based on the idiosyncrasies of the dogs that I've had. Easiest thing in the world I've ever written, because I'm like, what would happen in this situation with Grendel? I'm like, I know what would happen. Grendel would grab him by the scruff and throw him into a wall until they did what she said. I mean, it's easy. I know exactly what these characters will do. There's never a question. So yes, that's why Ro was saying dogs, and I must jump in and talk about my stuff whenever I can, as Ro very well knows.
Shameless plugs, man. Absolutely.
Hey, you got to plug yourself. Why not? And it coincides. It's perfect. Yeah, I mean, I also love my dog to death, so making her a character is great. I don't know if she would enjoy what I've made her. She'd probably, if she could read it, she'd probably be like, I feel like this is not accurate. But for me, it's fun.
Well, in my first series, I guess I did have a cat that was loosely based on a number of cats. So, but I did kill it in the end. So,
well, can't all survive.
Well, yeah, I mean, it outlived its expected lifetime. So it died of old age.
Oh,
See, I'm telling everybody that my sci-fi series has to be cozy because there's no way I can kill my dogs, even figuratively. So there's no death, there's no sex. And then I actually said, what the hell? I'm going to take out all the cussing. So there's no cussing. And I'm like, and I wrote a story. I'm like, and hopefully it's interesting.
And there's
mine's got a ton of cussing, a ton of death. Mostly fade to black sex scenes. Writing sex scenes isn't really my thing. I don't know. I think it's
not Mike's
more. I think also, I don't know. Writing animal sex is weird. I mean, they're humanoid, but it'd still be weird. It'd be a little uncomfortable boundary for me, I think.
Would be.
But definitely a lot of cursing and a lot of killing.
So not a young adult thing by any means.
No, my editor originally tried to get me to do young adult. She's like, if you just took all this out, it'd be such a good young adult novel. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want that. I want it to be like
Right.
for the people that like reading and envisioning the world that I want to do.
You know what the thing is though? I mean, when people ask me at shows like, is this suitable for kids? It's like, well, it's a sword and sorcery book, right? So a fool's going to die. Okay. And I always say, has your kid seen Deadpool? If they've seen Deadpool, there's nothing in here that's going to bother them. I mean, Deadpool's got cocaine masturbation jokes all through it, you know, and gratuitous killing and everything else. So,
Well,
you
even
know,
beyond that, listen to a rap song. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
I used to ask my 8th graders when I was teaching full time, I said, how do you guys know all this stuff? And they're like, rap. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also, I mean, the part of my inspiration was the Redwall series because it's what got me into writing, reading, and everything. And I just reread the series back and I was like, man, this is so much more violent than I remember as a kid. And I was reading that in like 4th grade. And it's considered like for kids, supposedly. So
I think you kind of gloss over a lot of the violence when you're a kid reading that kind of stuff because you're much more caught up in the you know the cute little mouse or whatever. Yeah, but I
yeah,
mean
for sure.
even now, if you go back and listen to like music from the 70s, my kids listen to that and go, "Oh my God, they're talking about like 16 and 17-year-old girls, right?"
Well, yeah, like one of my favorite songs is Your Love by the Outfield. And I listen to it sometimes. I'm like singing it out loud and I'm like, I don't know if I should really be singing this where people can hear me.
Steely Dan's Hey 19, right? Cuervo Gold and Colombian, I mean, Cuervo Gold and Pure Colombian, right? Hey 19. It's like, holy shit. You know, but the 70s, that
Yeah.
was good. So,
So, Tim, I saw you put on Twitter when there's, tell us interesting things about yourself, which I didn't do because there's nothing interesting about me.
oh, no, wait. Show him that picture you showed me earlier.
Oh, okay. So now there is something interesting.
There is.
Now you want me to show people.
Yeah. So anybody who is wondering about Mike, here's your answer.
So, for 20 years, I've been telling the place where I work, I know nothing about color cosmetics. Do not make me make color cosmetics. And now I'm the only one in my group.
Hold on, Mike.
Today, I made lipstick.
You made lipstick.
Yes. So, of course, I had to apply it.
It's a good shade.
It was about 50-50 people telling me whether it was my shade or not.
I feel like it is. It spices things up a little bit.
I think it'd probably be a better fall color for you, not so much summer.
I think it's better to never be seen again. But I put it on Twitter, so it's out there forever now.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, dude, you're going to see that again. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's forever. That's gonna be like your legacy. It's like Joey on Friends when he does the blue lipstick commercial.
Joey on Friends. So, how did you get into writing?
Well, I was born unable to hear, and then had a bunch of surgeries growing up, and a pretty terrible speech impediment. So I ended up just writing came more naturally because I couldn't speak very well. I was exempt from any public speaking in middle school and high school. So writing was always just something that happened. It was like a more natural form of communication. And being unable to communicate super well, like poetry was an easy way to get any emotion out. And then fast forward, I went to school for genetics and I sucked at anatomy and physiology because it was a nursing school. And they were like, it was me and one other guy that were not nurses. And we were struggling in that class because we were like, what the hell do we need to know all this for? And at the same time, I was in English 102. And my teacher was like, oh, what's your major? And I told her, and she's like, you're wasting your talent. Why are you in this class? And I was like, because I have to be in order to like graduate. So, and she's like, you shouldn't even be in this class. You're too good at writing. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know about that. And then I brought her one of my manuscripts at the time, a screenplay, because I was big into writing screenplays in college for some reason.
Because you were in college.
Yeah, I guess so. And she was like, oh, it's so good. I could never write this. And she's like, I'm just saying you're wasting your talent. You should follow your dreams. And so because I was sucking in anatomy and physiology, and my teacher was very honest, he was like, yeah, you're terrible. And I needed it to go on with genetics. And then I have this other person totally boosting my ego in a way I've never experienced. I was like, you know what? Screw it. Who cares? English degree. Let's do it. Just kind of went with it.
Where did you go to college?
SUNY Plattsburgh up in northern New York.
Yeah.
Oh, you know it. You're up there. So.
Yeah. That's nice to get that kind of no holds barred kind of, yeah, you're really bad at this kind of criticism.
Yeah. He even came into my work. He came into where I was working on the weekends, and he was like, I hope you're a better worker than, what do you say? I hope you're a better worker than you are at testing A&P or something. And I was like, wow.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
I need to be a dick about it. So what do you do now?
I was a teacher. Right now, I'm just subbing part-time because I'm mountaineering, hiking, playing basketball, trying to work on my novels and editing and all that stuff. So, and also just being a teacher is a giant pain in the ass at the moment. So just subbing. And then I write for a magazine. So I sell some of my articles to them.
So you're single?
No.
Really? Then you have the best wife ever if you're doing all of that shit.
I have a pretty fortunate life, I think.
Yeah, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, right. I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to quit my job. I'll sub. I'm going to go hiking and do some of this and that and do some writing and stuff. It's like, okay.
Well, subbing's pretty good money, surprisingly. And I've always been very free-spirited. So anybody that comes across me, I'm always like, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do, no matter what. So I think the people that surround themselves with me are kind of like, okay, we know him. We know what we're getting into.
Yeah. So you do a lot of hiking?
Oh, yeah. I can show you
and
my nasty blisters if you want to see them, because I got a couple of real gross ones right now.
we're going to hold on that, but we'll keep that in reserve if we need to. We were talking a little bit before, and I want you to tell us about your trip and whether or not any of that trip kind of helped you flesh out any of your either characters or backgrounds in your stories.
The Pakistan trip?
Yeah.
Fear the bald people. Well, landing in Islamabad was pretty wild at first.
Well, you're not starting at the beginning here, and I don't know this part, but I mean, how did you decide to do this?
I had always kind of wanted to go to Pakistan. I actually met a fellow writer on Twitter a long time ago. Her and her husband are from Pakistan. They live there. I had already been to India, and I was like, well, might as well go to the other one and see what that's like, the other side of it. So I just kind of took off. I like to go where people don't go, especially Americans. I like to avoid other Americans when I travel.
I'm going to stop you there for a sec again. So two people who you didn't know on Twitter said you should come to Pakistan.
She just said if I'm ever in Pakistan that her and her husband would like to meet me. And she was part of a group that I was in. There was like a 10-person Twitter group, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, whatever it was.
Okay. Because all I'm thinking is that, people who you don't know from other places inviting you, that's how trafficking starts.
Yeah,
but you obviously turned out all right and everything happened, so that's good. So
I like to put myself in strange situations that I might not come out of. I've always thought that, like when I used to travel a lot, I would use like Tinder or whatever and just meet random people, and some of the situations were weird, and I was like, well, if I get killed from like a dating app or something from a random person in a foreign country, there's worse ways to go out.
My obituary will rock.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. People will remember it. They'll be like, oh yeah, he got killed by that random person in Mongolia because he went with her to the mountains and didn't know her for more than 2 minutes. So
he died of the Sith, but he was one of 7.
Yeah. So, see, yeah. It's a good tagline. And I'm sure I'd have a cool gravestone at least.
Okay,
so,
sorry. All right. I
totally you're fine.
Broke your stride there.
So I got there. There's actually an issue with my hostel. They overbooked or something. They messed up the reservation, so I had to sleep on the hostel couch, which is kind of gross and weird. But did that in this random part of Islamabad, and then I ended up going hitchhike. Well, I ended up taking the sketchiest bus ride of my life. and if you're a tourist on this bus ride up to Hunza, the police get on it because there's military checkpoints that are really dangerous, especially for foreigners. So they're always checking us. They ride with you part of the way. Got off at this little mountain spot with a whole. It had a restaurant, and then it had just a toilet in the ground. And one of the locals was like, "Why are you on this bus?" And I was like, "Because I'm going to Hunza." He's like, "Yeah, but why are you on the bus?" He's like, "It's dangerous for us. It's way more dangerous for you." And I literally looked at him and I was like, "You're not making me feel better about my decision right now. You're making me feel way worse." And this bus is, and the week prior, the same bus company on the same trip or the same route had gone off the cliffs and killed 23 people. So I was already terribly uncomfortable with it.
Well, you got to figure, what are the odds it's going to happen twice in 2 weeks?
Apparently, it happens pretty often, from what they told me.
Jesus.
And you're like, and I remember looking
well.
over the window and just seeing over a sheer cliff, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die in freaking Pakistan."
On a bus.
So getting up to Hunza, got off the bus, made the terrible mistake of eating a piece of street food, and then ended up hitchhiking my way up to, it's called Eagle's Nest. So I hitchhiked my way all up to the Husseini suspension bridge because I've never crossed a legitimate suspension bridge in the middle of nowhere. This group of Pakistani men picked me up, brought me out to tea, bought me some food, and then they ended up bringing me further up to Husseini suspension bridge. I crossed it solo because not even the Pakistani people would cross it with me. Over this big glacier river, super wobbly. Meanwhile, this Pakistani guy with he had a bunch of stuff on his head, just zooms by me on these like pretty rickety boards. I was like, holy hell. So I crossed back, say goodbye to those guys, hitchhike back to Eagle's Nest, hike up, I forget, like 4,000 feet. I didn't think it was going to be a big deal, but high in elevation, had been in the sun all day, eating this crappy food, got bacteria poisoning, super crazy sick for a couple days, and then ended up forcing myself to hike like Rakaposhi Base Camp. I hitchhiked to that, and then hitchhiked down to another town and then to the airport, which is all crazy. And then made my way to Peshawar, which is the drug capital of the world, apparently, trafficking capital, where they smuggle all the drugs in to go to Europe or Asia. Like it all funnels through Peshawar, apparently. And you can do tours to the black market where they have all these makeshift guns and drugs and everything. And I was like, I'm good. A fellow traveler I met went, and she's like, "Are you sure you don't want to go?" And I was like, "You're asking me if I'm sure I don't want to go to the market where they traffic everything throughout the world? I'm good."
Yeah.
Had a guy offer me his daughter, which was the first in my travels.
Did he offer you a refrigerator or something as well?
Nope, just a daughter. We were
a
walking.
daughter? That's a shit deal.
I know. Me and this Australian girl were walking, and this man grabs me and goes, "Take daughter." And I said, "Huh?" He said, "Take daughter." I said, "Take your daughter where?" He said, "Take back with you." And I was like, "Dude, I'm not taking your daughter. I don't even know what I would tell immigration, even if I agreed to take your daughter."
Do you have anything to declare? My undying love.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what would I even say? Like, I adopted a little Pakistani on my way home. And then the tourist died. Well, first of all, Peshawar is crazy. You have to go through military checkpoints just to eat. There was the grossest sandstorms of my life. Because fiction's more fun. Well, I don't know.
I was going to ask this question when you finished. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the tourist got killed right where I was going in Afghanistan. And there's military conflict at the border. And I was like, man, I'm not going to Afghanistan, apparently. I did meet the Taliban. I did get my Afghani visa. I did have tea with a Taliban advisor, which is weird as an American. But I learned a lot on my trip. I don't know exactly how much went into writing, but the experience itself, I mean, seeing the mountains up in Hunza, the difference in Islamic culture just from the center of Pakistan to the north is totally different. The way they view life, the way they function, everything. Seeing all the serene nature, the kindness of people. I think that all plays a role in your writing, regardless, whether it's pertinent or whether you notice it or not. I think it all trickles down into your writing eventually. But I don't know if anything specifically from that trip went in. I guess I could have someone try to give someone their daughter.
So is Pakistan at all like Saudi Arabia? I mean, do they have, call to prayer 5 times a day and all that?
Saudi Arabia, because I've been there too.
Where were you in Saudi?
Totally different vibes. What's
Where
that?
were you there?
I went to Riyadh, and then me and my friend drove.
Did you go to the square on Friday?
I was actually there during Ramadan. It was rather unfortunate because I couldn't eat shit all day long.
Oh, yeah. Saudi's really a very it's a very modern city. I mean, I was there in like 94 and 99. But you didn't get to the square?
I don't know. We went all over Riyadh, then we drove out to the edge of the
know.
world, which was crazy, and then we went to the coast. We swam in the ocean. The only 2 people swimming in the Red Sea there, which was crazy.
How the hell did you get a tourist visa for Saudi Arabia?
It was super easy.
Oh, they give them now? I mean, they didn't used to give them.
Yeah, well, they just started in 2022, I think.
Yeah.
When were you there?
That was when I was there. I got it that year.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
So right when I saw that they had eased it and lessened the cost, because the cost of a tourist visa before was a lot. They had just gotten rid of like the military police or the religious police. I mean.
Oh, the Mutala.
Yeah, they had just gotten rid of them, and
that's good.
Yeah, and we just kind of went. It just happened to be on Ramadan, which was kind of cool, but also really difficult in Saudi because they're way more strict. Pakistan is just way different than them. First of all, Hunza area, the Gilgit area, not very extreme, very liberal. Women are allowed. So the Pakistani guys that I hitchhiked with, they're from the South, and they're like, how you know that you're not in the South anymore? And I was like, how? And they're like, you see women. They're like, our whole road trip up here, you see maybe one girl. And he's like, now you see people everywhere. And they don't call to prayer in the North. They have these little towers, but they don't call to prayer. In the South, they call to prayer. So it's totally different cultures. Even the look of people is different because people up there look Greek because a lot of them are from Alexander the Great and his army. So there's actually people that I met with like those gray blue eyes and curly blonde hair and stuff. And I was like, man, such a strange, interesting place. But yeah, the religion from there to Saudi is totally different, way more liberal. Pakistanis that I met and that I experienced were way more liberal minded than Saudis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a very low bar.
That's true. That's very true. But I do actually, the way that Saudis live their lives, I actually admire in a lot of ways. Because I hitchhiked all over Saudi as well. And none of them spoke English at all. But they had no problem picking me up. And one guy told me it's for Allah. And I was like, cool.
Did they wear seatbelts?
I never did there, so I don't know.
I tell you what, Saudi Arabia, when we were there, they had the highest accident fatality rate in the world. And the reason was none of them wore seatbelts.
That didn't surprise me.
All is will, right? I'm going to get in the car and drive, and if I die, there it is. And it'd be like a 4-lane highway. And the roads were beautiful because they were all made by Germans. Right.
Their roads are actually really nice compared to most of the Middle East I've seen. Their roads are like.
Well, it's all the Westerners. The Western Europeans came down and did all their stuff for them. So the roads were all made by Germans. And you have these beautiful 4-lane highways, and you have that kind of half lane that is a breakdown lane, and that's the Allah lane. And you would see dudes just tear ass down that really fast, and then whip across 4 lanes of traffic to get to an exit, realize they got the wrong exit, stop, back up onto the highway, and carry on again. It was just ridiculous.
I didn't see too much of that, luckily, because it was Ramadan, so not a lot of people were out.
What month was it?
April.
Okay, so it wasn't super hot yet.
No, it was pretty nice. It was actually pretty good weather. It was pretty hot in Riyadh, and then I went down to the southwest to like this weird mountain place where it was thunderstorms up in one place and then hot desert down the mountains. So part of it was hot, but no, not too bad.
Did you get out to the ruins about 10, 20 kilometers outside of Riyadh? They have this old city that was a city in like the 900s or something like that called Dahireya.
No, I went to these really old ruins, and that's why I went to the southwest. Was these super old ruins, like not like pyramids, but kind of similar. So that was kind of cool in the valley.
Nice. Yeah, it's an interesting place for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. The people are great, and finding out I was American like I got tons of free stuff, especially food. They wanted to like pamper me because I was American.
Yeah. Did you go down to all the souks and everything down there? And
I went to a few. I much prefer theirs to Morocco's. So Saudi is like super clean comparatively to a lot of places I've been.
It's clean and people leave shit. I mean, you can leave your car unlocked and stuff in it and nobody takes it because, you know, if they steal it, they get their freaking hands chopped off. So
Yep.
it's, yeah, there's something to be said for that, I guess. So anyway, about books. We're all over the map today. Sorry.
I was
No,
just
it's
going to
fine. I
say,
prefer it.
you know, they said good old Vlad the Impaler, Dracula's. They said that they left a silver chalice out by a spring that everyone could drink from, and they knew that no one would steal it because if you did, you had to answer to, the guy who became known as Dracula. In his many, many ways, he liked to kill people in creative and gory detail. So, yeah. And it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I mean, I remember asking why they didn't have any thievery or anything, and they said that. They're like, because you get your hands taken. And I was like, oh, that's a good way to keep people from stealing, I guess. You told me you're going to take my hand. I would also not. So.
Well, that's why I asked you if you went to the square, because there were all the stories about people would, they still chop people's heads off for major crimes, and they do it with a freaking sword. So like on Friday afternoon after prayer, that's when they would do it. That's weird. But
yeah.
So it's not just in fantasy books.
It is not. It is very, very real.
Oof. I think I can miss that.
You probably could. But
I already saw it happen to Ned Stark, so not much else can faze me now. What's a stranger compared to Ned?
the fact that Ned's in a different show right now. Actually, my wife said that. She said there's this new show on with Sean Bean. It's like, does he die? She said he does what Sean Bean does. It's like, son of a bitch,
He's great at dying, though.
I mean, that's the guy would live through a freaking show.
But how cool of a career is that? To be like, I'm the best dyer of all of Hollywood. That's pretty cool.
I guess you don't have to stay there that long on set. It's like, I can knock this out in a day.
That too.
Right. So as you have a copy of picture of Boba Fett back there, you are a Star Wars aficionado?
I like Mandalorians, and I like the lore of Mandalore. Star Wars as a whole, I could take or leave some of it.
What about like Star Trek, or what's your science fiction go-to?
I'm not a Trekkie. I like the movies. I think Chris Pine is fantastic in them, and I think the movies are done really well. I'm not a huge sci-fi person. I like Dune. The Dune movies are great. I think Star Wars is super cool. It's just some of the movies are pretty lackluster. But I love the Mandalorian show. Boba Fett's awesome. Mace Windu's pretty cool too.
If you get a chance on YouTube, somebody, I don't know what genius did this, but in A Princess Bride, I'm sure you've seen that, right?
Why are you sure I've seen that?
Yeah, the sword fight between Inigo Montoya and the main character there, fucking farm boy, I forget his name, sorry. Somebody did that, and they changed out their swords for lightsabers, and it's an entirely new experience. It's really, really, really good. So, Tim McKay, do you have an opinion on Darth Revan, or are you one of those Mandalorian fans?
I'm not sure how to take that. I will admit, I'm still getting into the Mandalorian lore. I'm still even reading about it more, because I do think it's yeah, I never got into the shows.
I like I like the new Star Trek reboots, actually. I don't have a problem with them.
I thought Chris Pine was awesome, but I'm not an original Trekkie fan, so that's probably why. If you're an original Star Trek person, I'm sure. I mean, I'm not super into sci-fi. I do wish they'd do a sci series by Neil Shusterman. That would be cool. I'm definitely more into like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. I do admittedly even like Rings of Power. I'm sure someone's about to type their opinion on that.
Rings of Power, I think, is all right as well.
I like Rings
really?
of Power. Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it was pretty good, right? I mean, I know I don't expect it to be like Lord of the Rings, and I know all the stuff that it went through, but I actually thought it's a fun watch.
Yeah.
And
I like the fact they said right up front, we condensed all of this 1,000 years of story into the lifespan of one human so that you could have a person to go through this with. And it's like, okay, knowing that, fine. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Also, the Sauron casting, amazing. So.
I haven't watched the latest series yet.
so I just have to say, I'm a sane person who has not read what the Silmarillion, because my God, why would you? So it doesn't bother me if the lore is not perfect. I'm like, you know what? It has the ambiance. That's really all I need.
Well, Tolkien's pretty messy anyway. All that stuff is pretty messy. So, like, really, if someone's willing to put in all that work to make a show out of it, I'm not going to complain too much. The Wheel of Time, I will complain about for obvious reasons, but
have you read The Wheel of Time?
I'm reading it now. So I watched the series and then I started reading it, and I rewatched the series after getting through books part 1 and part 2 of book 2. And I rewatched the series. I was like, man, you're missing out on so much pertinent details, and the storyline is all over the place. Like, I know, because in my writing major, we had to take classes on how you condense books into film and all the algorithm and all that stuff. But I was like, this is just like throwing out everything and then kind of putting it all together and being like, this is good enough.
Did you just use characters for damn, Tim? Really?
He's Canadian.
That's the most Canadian thing ever.
Sorry's coming next. This is going to be sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What about Harry Potter?
I think it's a cool world. Never got super into it. I hate Harry Potter as a character. I think Dumbledore is cool and interesting. Snape is a great character. Even Voldemort's okay.
Who's the hero of the story, really?
Is there really a hero? Hermione, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, she kind of keeps Harry on track, and Harry's whining the whole time, and Hermione's like,
He is a whiny little bitch, isn't he?
He's crazy whiny. That's why I was like, man, how do you have such a whiny little person? Worse. I think he's worse even.
Oh, probably a little worse, but Luke Skywalker was I can't lift it out of the swamp. Dude, you just almost freaking did it. You can do it. Just don't be a little bitch about it.
Well, and also Voldemort set Harry up to win. He put all his stuff in these stupid little Horcruxes or whatever, and was like, okay, Harry, go at it. And I don't know. I wanted to see a Dumbledore and Voldemort showdown. I don't care about Harry himself. He can fight off Draco Malfoy or whatever, but I wanted to see like a grand wizard showdown.
I kind of want to see Ron slap him once.
That would be nice too.
Hell up.
That would be nice too. Or the female teacher lady, forget her name, or Snape. McGonagall? Actually, Snape should have slapped him.
Yeah, McGonagall.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ro, I have to ask my question now.
Yeah, one sec. McGonagall does have that kind of Catholic school nun kind of vibe about her. So yeah,
exactly.
All right, Mike, go ahead. You know how this is going to end, Mike.
I know. Maybe Tim will be enlightened. We'll see. So it's a question I ask everyone. Most people get it wrong. They agree with Ro. So here's the situation. I want you to envision yourself going down the main street of your city, which any of the cities you've been to, I don't care which one. You're in a saddle, and that saddle can either be astride a griffin or a T-Rex. Which one do you choose and why?
A griffin, hands down. T-Rexes don't even have arms, barely. B, a griffin's going to be way more comfortable to sit on. A T-Rex is going to be a really uncomfortable ride, because you got to ride like at this weird slant. You got to hang on. You have to have a very intricate saddle. And also griffins fly. T-Rexes don't fly.
Yeah, but griffins, they cannot do anything to the cars that are in your way. The T-Rex can grab them and throw them into buildings.
How's a T-Rex going to grab a car?
Grab and throw anything.
Have you not seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah, I guess, but a griffin can fly over all the cars. You don't even have to waste the time. You can just fly over and be like, yeah, I'm good.
But you get gratuitous violence with the T-Rex.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Honor
mean, you
shame.
can get violence with a griffin. I can like throw spears from a griffin. I can shoot bow and arrows. Also, you look way cooler riding a griffin. A T-Rex, you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
look kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
A griffin, you can look like, okay, I'm a hero or a
I'm
villain.
king of the
Whatever.
world.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had to wait until EL left. He'd back me up here, but he's gone. And
He's
him, yeah, disappointed.
I
Oh
don't
well,
know why you're still disappointed by this.
because 10% agree with me, and these are the enlightened
Maybe.
few.
Maybe 10%.
I also feel like T-Rexes are probably slower than they even show in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. So it's like even more. I would rather take an army of raptors.
Fair.
I think that's Mike's problem is he chose the T-Rex.
Probably, yeah. Why not like a Stegosaurus or something? Or one of those, what are the ones with the big rock tails and like the armored backs?
Oh, the Ankylosaurus, yeah.
Yeah, I'd ride that. I'd ride an Ankylosaurus all day long. That sounds weird out loud, but
Actually, we interviewed Nico from Nico's book review. He's like, that's not even the coolest dinosaur, the Stegosaurus. And I'm like, who likes the Stegosaurus?
Stegosaurus are pretty cool. I actually like the
Pelanosaurus.
rockhead dinosaurs, whatever they're called, that like have the dome and they smash stuff. I like those, but I wouldn't ride one, I don't think. Because they'd probably crash my head too, and it doesn't sound fun.
So all of this before you get on a plane. Okay. So when did your book come out?
The Tales of Battle series?
Your latest one.
Oh, that came out in February. Book 2
Okay,
came
and
out in
the
February.
And the next one is when?
It's in editing right now. My editors are pretty swamped, but I'm hoping by August or September at the latest.
Okay. And are you going to be at, what is that thing up in Seattle, Mike, this year? WorldCon?
I am not, because I didn't know about it until I was on Tim McKay's show. And also, I don't pay enough attention to that stuff. I really need to, but like I said earlier, because I hike, and I'm in the mountains, I'm playing basketball, and I'm at the gym, and I'm doing other life stuff. That's my one problem as a writer, is I think I'm lazy as everything else. I like writing and reading, going out and like figuring out the marketing stuff, or going out to the. Also, I feel like the Comic-Con stuff's expensive.
You're not lazy. You can't use the word lazy in association with yourself if you're doing all that other stuff, because most of us don't do any of that marketing stuff either, and we do sweet fuck all else. So,
Yeah, and we haven't backpacked across most of Asia.
There you go. Right.
That's fair. I think I need to get better at that as a writer, though. I think
you need to write down that whole backpacking story before you start getting Mike and I old and forgetting it. Even if you don't write anything about it now, write it all down for yourself with all the detail that you can and just put it away somewhere and you'll go back to it.
It was one of the better ones. Oh, Mike, you'll also like that. So I hiked to Rakaposhi Base Camp, which is this crazy glacier crap, pretty high up, 2 days after vomiting my brains out.
Of course.
And I commandeered some random Pakistani's dog. He was hiking with this group, and I hear them yelling, and he just hikes with me. And I was like, no, go back to your group. And he just followed me all the way down until like this little farmer place. I don't know what happened to him after that, but he followed me for like miles, just hanging out with some random Pakistan. And they were like pretty mad because they had already come and got him twice. And I was like, I can't, I'm hiking. I can't just deliver you back your dog. I'm sorry.
Nice.
All right, Mike, you want to run them through?
I suppose. So
that sounds violent.
Have you seen the show before? And it's okay if you say no. We're used to that.
I have not.
Yeah, I know you're mountaineering and whatnot. You don't have time. So what we're going to do is we will learn more about one of your characters. You get to pick which one.
Okay.
But we don't want you to give us spoilers. So I'm going to take some dice and roll them, and we're going to transport one of your characters to a new place and give them a new situation. And then I'll set up the story and you tell us how it ends. So.
You ever played D&D, Tim?
I have not. I've always wanted to. I really wanted to do a Dragon Ball Z one, but I moved away from that friend group before I could. I haven't lived somewhere long enough, I don't think, to be in a D&D group.
Well, you live in Portland. You should be able to find something there, I think.
Well, now I could, yeah.
Yeah,
But I was in Denver. I was in North Carolina before, and then Denver before, and then South Carolina. I just move a lot. Too much.
So wait a minute. You born in Vermont. You moved to Portland. You lived in Denver. You spent time in Pakistan and very close to Afghanistan. There's a lot of, I don't want to say. I won't. Never mind. I won't go down that road. It's late in the show.
Okay, so you have to pick a character who's going to be transported to some other world. Who are you picking? And tell us a little bit about him.
I'm going to pick Caesar, who is, I should pick Danby, but I'm going to pick Caesar just because he's my favorite. He's the Jaguar Emperor. He's secretly gay with his wolf general. He's very vicious, but also very handsome. He always wants to do the right thing, but doesn't always know what the right thing is. Yeah, those are the important aspects, I guess.
Okay, so you said Caesar, correct?
Yep.
This is when I normally write it down so I don't look stupid when I'm like, yeah, who is your character again? You told me 3 minutes ago. So anyway, Caesar has been transported to the Deepwood Sanctuary. And I have to apologize. I did not write these 20 scenarios up. I just had Chat GPT, so it's very adjective heavy. So, But the Deepwood Sanctuary, gigantic mushrooms form natural canopies and phosphorescent fungi like narrow paths winding between ancient stone carvings. Blah, 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 hum of life, don't care. Hidden in the roots of ancient trees, clusters of sapphire-studded idols lay entangled with vines, protected by jade-horned stags that vanish if approached too quickly. So this is where Caesar is at now. What's your favorite color?
Neon orange.
Okay, should not have taken that long to answer. But anyway, he has a neon orange fizzy potion. It's 100% effective, but you have no idea what it does. And I haven't looked it up yet, so I don't know what it does yet either.
Is it Fanta or Crush?
So it's got to be Fanta.
Okay.
I'm more of a Crush guy. All right, that's fair.
So now the choice for Caesar, he can choose a common item or he can choose a weapon. If he chooses a common item, he will face off against a common animal. If he chooses a weapon, he will face a fantasy creature, hopefully a griffin that he has to kill. But that's just me projecting. So what does he want, a common item or a weapon?
Oh, weapon for sure. I agree down with ChatGPT, but it's okay. I'm still playing the game anyway.
Oh, that's my brother. Don't listen to him.
ChatGPT just gave you the whole adjective-laden part that Mike doesn't know how to do. No, Mike doesn't use adjectives.
Rarely. Okay, so instead of getting a 6-foot square tapestry of a unicorn, had he chosen a common item, because that's common, he is going to get a 7-foot spear.
And how big is Caesar?
It's supposed to be like around 6'4".
Oh, okay. Well, that's not
Slightly
terribly
taller
bad.
than him. So instead of fighting a hyena, he is fighting a basilisk whose gaze will turn victims to stone. So they're there in the deep woods forest thingy, where they go, Deepwood Sanctuary with gigantic mushrooms and trees and
How does he know there's a basilisk there?
He sees it side on, not doesn't gaze into his eyes.
Okay.
So he's sitting there. He chases a couple jade horned stags just to watch them vanish, because who doesn't think that's fun?
Yeah.
And then as he does that, the one vanishes. Lo and behold, he sees that there's a basilisk that's turned sideways and has not seen him yet. What does he do?
What would Harry Potter do?
He'd say Expelliarmus.
Cry. He'd cry.
Then he'd say Expelliarmus, right? Because he's an idiot.
And then wait for Hermione to save him. Yes.
That's true. Caesar would close his eyes, look in his inner self, and prepare for battle, because he likes battle. That's one thing about him, is he likes to be the best. He's considered by a lot of people to be a god because he's like untouchable in battle for the most part.
Okay.
So he'd close his eyes, kind of get in sync with his surroundings, probably move his spear around to get a feel for it, because he uses a sword much more often. So he'd probably be like, how do I cut through with this? And I think he'd go right at it. He'd let a roar loose, his little roar, and then he'd head forth and try to cut it off before it can manage a way to cut him off.
Now, would he do this quietly, or would he like yell some obscenity as he was running?
I think he just let it roar and just sprint out.
Is he an actual jaguar?
He's a jaguar humanoid. So
Okay, all right.
I don't know if you've ever played Tekken, but like kind of like King.
Nope, never have, but I get the
Okay.
idea. All right.
Okay. So, Ro, you want to tell me what I need to roll for? Good old Caesar.
Well, if he's coming up behind the thing, and he's got a running start with a 7-foot long spear, I don't know, like an 8. It's big enough. He should hit it. You rolled like a 2, didn't you?
I rolled a 2.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Well, Mike is the shittiest dice roller ever.
So actually, last Saturday when we did Rob Sanders. That's who it was. I didn't roll anything lower than a 15.
Oh,
It was kind of crazy. It was over very fast. So anyway,
Yeah, a 2 means that you didn't heft your spear around enough, and as you started running, it got out in front of you a little bit, and you fell ass over head.
that's more exciting that way. It's more
Yeah,
thematic.
and the basilisk, of course, will turn around to say, "What's that?" So I guess now you have to roll to see if you remember not to look in its eyes. But your character's pretty smart, right? He's not just like all crushed and stabby, right?
No, he's pretty intelligent. He's like that's part of why he's good at war is IQ.
Is that a 3 or a 16?
that's a 3 because this is me rolling.
Okay,
3 is my
so
favorite number, so I'll take it.
You do catch the basilisk's eye. Okay, Mike, if you roll above a 14, he's going to have to make a saving throw against being turned to stone.
17.
Hey, that's pretty awesome.
You're fucking killing me, Smalls.
See?
11 or better, Mike.
20.
Oh, 20. Oh, nice. Thank God. Okay, so you managed to move before he actually looks at you long enough to do anything. In addition to that, you realize there's an opening and you do a little kick roll around to get out of his eyesight and set yourself up again to try to attack him. Because you rolled a freaking natural 20, and Mike never rolls natural 20s.
I'll take it. It's the luck of Caesar.
J.A. Bryden just said I understood that reference. I'm not sure what reference he's talking about. J.A. just put in the chat there what reference you're talking about.
Probably this, which Tim McKay said just before.
Well, he said I understand that reference row.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Anyway.
Reading is fundamental, Mike. Okay. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. Right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so. So roll to attack again.
Nico, we were just talking about you. And I maligned the Stegosaurus. But anyway, we're rolling for an attack now. 17.
Yay, you hit it. I don't know how much damage a basilisk can take or how much damage this particular weapon would do. I would think quite a bit if he's got 6'4" behind it.
Yeah.
And a lot of muscle. So hopefully.
Yeah. I tell you what, Mike, 15 or better, and the basilisk throws him off. If not, he can take another swing at it and kill it.
15.
Yeah, okay. So you get chucked off. Mike, this would be so much easier if you could roll dice. Let's do a 15 or better for the basilisk's tail to whack him as he's coming off.
Ooh, 18.
Okay, so you're falling off the basilisk and you get thwacked like a hockey stick. Okay.
It's funny that you're saying this because I actually imagined that happening when we started this. So
you're out in front of it now. So I'm going to think that your guy's smart enough to know not to look up at its face now, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think
what
it's
do you
more of
want-
like a tuck and roll and try to stab like a death stab.
Right. Well, you're separated enough now where what do you want to do? I'll give you the
Me?
tuck and roll, and you can come back up in a cool superhero pose or whatever.
Do I still
Yeah.
have the spear, or did he lose
Yeah,
the spear?
yeah. We're going to
Okay.
give it to you.
Yeah. So like, instead of looking at his face, just looking at like neck down, trying to figure out where he could get this last second kill before he gets killed. Tuck
He
and
is
roll
bleeding.
and lunge.
I mean, he's not quite as mobile anymore because, I mean, you stuck a 7-foot spear into him at some point. So, all right.
Yeah. So this is the trying to either get him down for the kill or try to get the kill. I think he would just go for the kill after getting thwacked with a tail, not letting
14 or
another
better, Mike.
opportunity.
What am I
14 or
rolling?
better, and if you get 16 or better, it's a headshot and kills him.
Okay, 3.
Now, you should never go to Vegas.
Never.
I went to Vegas. I did not gamble.
Probably a
It's a
good
good-
option.
Good call. And we do need a dice cam. You need to go get another camera so people know that you're not lying about this. Okay. A 3. A 3 is nothing good for you. Yeah, you just slip again. I don't know. That it's whatever this weird little jade encrusted world is. It's not good for your slipperiness.
It's mushroom.
Well, there's a lot
slop.
of fungi and stuff. So
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Mike, 15 or better.
13.
Okay. The basilisk comes down and tries to take a chomp out of you and misses. But now he's closer to you. So do you think you can do a 13 or better this time, Mike?
That would be a 15.
Okay. You hit the basilisk again, and let's just say you kill it. Right up into the old brain box. Because if we don't, we'll be here for another 20 minutes with Mike rolling crap numbers.
that makes sense. We'll call it a lucky kill. Say the basilisk went down and the spear went up, and it
There you go. Yeah. It hadn't
know-
recovered yet from chomping at you.
It
Yeah.
could end up in a tea party again.
But I did like Caesar's just kind of no nonsense, let's
Yeah.
go. We don't get that a lot. We get a lot of people kind of come in and think about it and
Oh,
say,
interesting.
well, can
And
I
you-
make friends with the basilisk? We get a lot of that.
Well, Caesar likes a challenge. He actually does fight a mythical creature later on in the series. That I've finished that book, and I think he's smart enough probably to gauge a threat from a friend.
Good. Good. So did you say that you've written 6 books already in this series?
Yep.
You've written 6? You've finished 6?
Yeah.
But the third one is being edited now, so I guess you still have editing to go with everything.
Yep. It's with the editors now. I'm editing book 4 before I send that to them. Then I got to do book 5. Then I got to edit book 5 and 6. And then I just finished my other work in progress, and that's with a beta reader now.
Wow. I mean, how much did you have done before you said, okay, I'm going to start publishing? This is questions we should have asked 30 minutes ago.
Just book 1. I really was querying book 1 and hoping I could get it out there and whatnot. And then my editor was like, just publish it. Just do it. Otherwise, you're going to be on this journey forever. Just like be excited for it. Went with it and then just started writing a bunch.
Well, how many words you bang out when you sit down?
Depends. I went 3 weeks back in March where I wrote 5,000 to 7,000 for like 24 days straight or something. The
5,000 to
last couple of
7,000
weeks,
a
not
day?
much. Yeah,
Do you plan this all out, or are you just doing it off the top of your head?
just off the top of my head. I wish I could plan stuff out. I try, doesn't work out.
Yeah, I'm the same way. But I don't write 5,000 to 7,000 words a day.
Well, the last 2 weeks it's been like 300 a day. So
Okay. All right.
So, Tim, I have to tell you, good news. I have a very hard and fast rule. I do not read books over 500 pages, and I just checked. Your book is 490. So,
It's a dumbass rule.
yeah, it is a crazy rule. So isn't the whole A Song of Ice and Fire over 500 pages?
It's miserable. Why would anyone read that unless you hate yourself?
What?
I have
That's
to
the
admit,
craziest thing
I
you could've
started
said.
reading book 1 of that and kind of went, that.
What? Oh my gosh, you guys! I should have asked this before I came on this show. This is blasphemy. This is basically my Bible.
Have you read the First Law trilogy?
The what?
First Law by it's by oh hell, Lord Grimdark. What's his real name? The horrible writer who doesn't know what a plot is. Somebody will help me in the comments.
There's only silence happening in the comments now.
There we go. Joe Abercrombie. Thank you, Tim.
I've heard of him, but I haven't read it.
If you like plots, don't bother to read anything he writes. He does not believe in plots.
Harsh.
It's miserable. I've read the first 2 books, and there still is no plot. And I found out what happens at the end of book 3, and I said, thank God, now I don't have to read it.
Well, A Song of Ice and Fire has a plot.
Yeah, it does. It just has 50 miserable characters who I all want to die.
What? What about Ned?
He was the only decent one. And he killed him right off, and then
and I have to admit, killing off Ned Stark kind of really put me off the series. I haven't watched the whole series.
You're missing out on one of the best character arcs. Okay, not for the show. The show screwed up the character arc, but the books have a great character arc with like Jaime Lannister and a couple others.
Yeah. I just, I watched a lot of season 1, and it's one of those shows like I like it well enough, but it's like Breaking Bad. I watched a lot of season 1 of that, and it was okay, but not enough to make me kind of go back to it.
Huh.
Even though I like those type of shows, right? But generally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a Game of Thrones fanatic. My bathroom was Game of Thrones, everything. I have, I think, like 12 Game of Thrones banners. I have their action figures on my bookcase. Yeah, it's like I geek out hard for Game of Thrones. If I could shake one person's hand in the world that's alive, it'd be GRM's.
See, and my feeling is, if you're going to have one very graphic death or sex scene, fine, you can do one. But if you have to go to that well every single time, you're pretty much a hack writer. You don't know how to do anything else, and that's the only way you can build tension. And so that's kind of what I'm just like, no, I'm done.
But he's such a master at it. Okay, I agree with you to an extent. Some people use it too much, and it's like, and it's not some people use it as a cop-out, but his is like so pertinent every time. So to me, that's actually like, I don't know, every death that he does is so crazy and crucial to the storyline that it's really magnificent to me. But I'm also a killer. I believe
there was one magnificent death in that show, and that was Joffrey.
Oh, well, that was good too. But Oberyn's one of my favorite characters, and his death was crazy. And the Red Wedding. The Red Wedding is arguably the best death in literature I've ever seen.
The Red Wedding is like the fantasy of Kingsman, the scene in the church.
Kind of, I guess I could see that.
But no, Joffrey dying was good because he was a little prick. So
he was a prick.
That's so really nice that he died because he was just a horrible, horrible character.
Okay, well, forewarning: people do die in my books. My editors actually had to stop me from killing certain characters because I agree with GRM in the way that he was like, if you're writing a book about war, if you want it to be semi-realistic, characters have to die.
Oh yeah. So are you going to like write 9/10 of your series and then just not write the last book?
Oh no, my last book's done. My last book is for sure done.
Well, people don't have to know that, right? I mean, you can just leave it out there for what, 12, 15 years now?
Like 14 or 15, yeah, something like that. No, mine is for sure done. It's actually sad. My 2 favorite series are both unfinished because Tad Williams has not finished the Bobby Dollar series, and I've been waiting a long ass time for that. And then GRM will probably never finish A Song of Ice and Fire. Brandon Sanderson will probably do it. So I'll wait forever for that. But I don't know if I want it or not because I don't know if he's going to go with because Jaime Lannister is like probably one of my favorite literary characters, and now I have no idea if it's going to end up shitty like the show, which I imagine not, because if we want to talk about hacks, those guys are actual hacks. Yeah, they're like the hackiest of hacks. So
well, they didn't have anything to work from, so you can't blame them.
You can still blame
if I was them, I'd be a little pissed off too, and trying to to make it, it's like, son of a bitch isn't going to give us the stuff to go with. We're just going to make up something horrible.
But you can blame their creativity and their like IQ as far as character arcs and storyline goes. And they were kicked off of pretty much everything else from the rest of their lives. So there's a reason.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, Tim, thank you very much for spending a few, a little over an hour with us. I know you've got to jump out to the airport so you can go back to the shining land of no air conditioning.
The land of the Green Mountains.
Currently 90 degrees and sweltering hot.
But it subsides tomorrow, right? What I saw, it's supposed to be only like high 70s tomorrow.
I happen to have it on my phone.
Of course you do.
I do, as a matter of fact. Right now it's 72 in St. Albans. Tomorrow's high is 68.
Yeah, see? I'm coming back just in time for the actual weather of Vermont.
That's perfect. Yeah, I love that.
And I'm actually going up to Montreal, well, Quebec City, so for 2 days.
All right, nice. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, so I'll be going by you, and I'll be coming back down and being across the water from you.
I'm in Virginia, man. So.
Oh, I thought you were in St. Albans now. Well, never mind.
I'm from there.
Oh, okay.
Virginia, Southwest Virginia is very much like Vermont, but it's like 20 degrees warmer and a lot cheaper.
Well, I would be. Well, yeah, everything's cheaper than Vermont probably, except for California. Well, I would be nowhere near you in that case. I haven't been to Virginia in a couple years now. But I'll be at our. I'll be at our
April. It's nice. You'll like it. It hasn't changed. Nothing new.
Well, that's pretty normal of northern Vermont. But so I will be at our homeland. I look forward to it. I've been back in a few years, and Vermont does make me homesick because the rest of the USA is crazy, and Vermont is like a little slice of heaven. That's what I tell everybody.
It's so weird because it's very kind of hippie, crunchy granola, but all the hippies have guns.
Yeah, it's very. People call it a very liberal state, but it's such a moderate state, really. It's such a weird influx of people, but the Vermont Trust, everybody in Vermont waves to everybody. The farm stands, they trust you to put a couple dollars in their little metal boxes and take their veggies. Yeah. It's like a world that when I moved out of Vermont, I remember calling my mom and being like, why did you raise me in a land that doesn't exist? Like, how did you raise me in this place of this kindness and this compassion and this friendliness and trust? And then I move out of Vermont, and I'm like, where the hell is this?
I have to tell you this. I don't have to, but I'm going to. So when I left after high school for the service, I was stationed out in Phoenix, and a guy who was from like Swanton or Missisquoi, who I knew, was with me at that same base. He joined about the same time I did, but we ended up at the same base. And he comes to get me, and he says, "Oh, come here, I got to show you something. You're going to love this. It's so cool." This is 1987. And we drive to a bank, okay? It's a Saturday. And it's one of those drive-through teller banks, right? And there's nobody there, but he's going like way the hell away from the actual bank. And I'm like, dude, you've got to go over to the window. And he's just kind of chuckling to himself. And he pulls up to that little thing, and the little tube comes out of the thing, right? And I'm like, oh, that is so fucking cool. And he just shoves it back in, and he tells the lady, send it back out again. She's like, what? He's like, just send it back out again. And she does, and we're just like giggling like little girls, And he knew that would do exactly what it did to me, because where we were from, the drive-thrus had one window, and you had to pull up to the bank, and the lady shoved the little thing out, and you put it in. So yeah, that's how kind of behind the times Vermont was.
Vermont is
but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of great because of that. Yeah.
I will tell you one thing before we go. I want to ask, did you ever get to train at Mountain Warfare School? Because I went and did a bunch of training at Mountain Warfare School for the National Guard. So
I was in the Air Force, so no.
Oh, that's like the best part about being military in Vermont, is going, because the Mountain Warfare School is so cool, and it was so much fun.
No, that would require sleeping in tents and all that kind of shit.
Well, shitty barracks, but yeah, in eating MREs for no apparent reason because we're not overseas. We're literally at home, but
so they
still
don't have
eating.
to pay you per diem. If you get
Yeah,
if you get the meals, they don't have to pay you per diem.
it was so crappy. Ugh. I remember because my friends were in the Air Force at the same time, and my friend Mikey sending me photos and like, look what we're eating, and they have like fancy ice creams and like these nice sandwiches because they're at this nice barracks for the Air Force down the road. And I was like, dude, I'm literally eating a cracker with peanut butter and jelly, and like a soup that you heat up with a bag.
You were in the Guard?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you if you know a guy. Sorry, everybody.
Oh,
This is what we do. If you were in the Vermont National Guard at this, you know John Allard? No, there was a chance. He works the range. I think he's still in.
No, I was medical, and I tried to avoid the range because I'm not a gun person. The only gun I wanted to shoot was a saw, and they wouldn't let me because I wasn't big enough, which is super mean. Had this huge sergeant, and he was a saw carrier. This huge dude he was like a superhero to me because I was 17 when I joined, and his chest was like chiseled and huge, and his biceps were bigger than my body. And I was like, let me shoot a saw. And he was like, if you gain 50 pounds, I'll let you shoot a saw. And I was like, dude, I'm not big enough to gain 50 pounds. That's not happening. And I was like, just put it on a stand and let me shoot it. He's like, still no. So that was the only gun I wanted to shoot.
Well, get out of here. Get on your plane. I hope Super Troopers is your movie.
Of course. One of the only cool things to happen.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Super Troopers, everybody, you need to watch that. It's a great film. It's not a great film, but it's all right.
I don't know how well it aged, but it was great back then.
Yeah, we watched it a few months ago. It probably not as well as you think. But.
Yeah, probably not. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You guys were super fun. So this was a pleasure.
All right. You have a safe trip. And everybody who hasn't liked and subscribed, please do that. And Mike, when's our next show?
Good question. Next week.
Yeah, next week. Is there a day?
Oh, shoot. I think the 27th, maybe.
Let's. I will look this up and we'll
I am looking it up now. Our next one is the 27th. Oh, so 2 days from now, we are with J.A. Bryden.
2 days. Okay, 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
All right, outstanding. Everyone, have a good evening. Tim, safe travels.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all around.